Now, for more on this, we have with us Vincent Chow, former political director at Taiwan's representative office in Washington, D.C., joining us from Taipei. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, to begin with, Macron's comments, as I mentioned, landed him right in the middle of a storm of criticism. What's your take on the comments made by Macron?
Well, I thought Macron's comments were a bit short-sighted. We have to realize a couple of things. The first one is that authoritarian governments are a threat to democracies everywhere, not just a threat to Taiwan, not just a threat to countries like Ukraine, but really democracies everywhere. And if democracies don't stick together and work together and have robust exchanges and dialogues, then sooner or later they're going to pick us off one by one. So I think it's quite short-sighted to say that, France is going to pick and choose whoever they want to get along with and then pick and choose the issues they want to get involved with, when in reality, the issues we face here in Taiwan affect all of us anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. Now, that being said, now in China, we saw that Macron received a red carpet welcome. How do you assess the relations between Macron, France and China?
Well, I think Macron has his own domestic difficulties he's dealing with right now, and these challenges are tremendous. And so I do think that as a politician, I think he's decided that maybe it's time to pursue some foreign endeavors that may take people's mind off his domestic struggles. With that being said, however, I think Macron and any other world leader should realize that China is going to put out the red carpet. They're going to give you a lavish welcome because in the end, it's in their interest to do so. And China has very clear interests when it comes to how to undermine democracies, how to export its version of authoritarian power around the world, how to destabilize the Indo-Pacific region, and how to really bring forward, I think, trade on their terms, which is what we've certainly seen in years past. So, I think it's incumbent on any world leader around the world to not fall into that Chinese trap.
All right, sir. Now, also, as I mentioned earlier, there is anger among European leaders who think that they can, in fact, assess their own position when it comes to the situation over Taiwan. Would you say that a potential rift in the EU could benefit China in any way?
Well, absolutely. So the PRC, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party strategy over past decades has always been divide and conquer. So they're going to try to split off and splinter off democracies and then turn them against each other. And that's certainly what we saw in terms of Putin's wish in Ukraine. He had hoped that the Western alliance, that democracies would fracture and that they would be able to easily take over Ukraine. That's certainly what we're seeing with Xi Jinping in terms of his interactions. And so it's very, very important, if not essential, for democracies to stand united and not allow China or any authoritarian regime to pick us off one by one and to engage in their strategy of dividing and conquering.
All right. On that, my final question to you, sir. The push to distance Europe from the United States. How do you assess the impact of this? After all, China does see the United States as one of its biggest threats at the moment.
Well, we've never seen, for example, a struggle over the U.S. and China as the defining struggle. We see it in terms of democracy versus authoritarianism. And I think Europeans have to wonder, and I think rightfully question, if they're saying that Europe does not have to be involved anywhere outside Europe, does that mean that countries like the United States no longer have to be involved in Europe? Like, they can't just ask people to help them but not help anybody else. And I think that's ultimately in the end counterproductive. So I'm happy to see that Germany's foreign minister, their defense minister, has gone out to try to clarify Europe's position on Taiwan and China, on the Indo-Pacific. And hopefully, that's going to help calm things down and make sure that, we continue to be united in terms of resisting authoritarian powers anywhere in the world.
All right. Well, Mr. Vincent Chow, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast with your insights on this. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.